Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Going to be getting back to work on the Cobra. A couple things as I'm starting the video. Now that the MR2 is back, I am probably going to be trying to balance work between the two vehicles and getting stuff done on both of them at the same time, because I do want to get the engine out of the MR2 so I can get that up for sale and whatnot. So that is going to be high on the list as well, but I will try and keep all videos separate and specific to the vehicle, so there's not a whole lot of intermixing in videos, because I know some people are probably following for Cobra content, some are probably following for MR2 content, so I will try and keep everything as separate as possible. Also on the Cobra last video, I was working on the alignment. I did forget to mention that I used my Longacre camber caster gauge to take a look at things. I didn't do the caster check. I did check the camber. The one side was at 0, the one side was at plus 0.75 of a degree. So it's not exactly where I want it, but right now it's going to be good enough for driving this season, the last little bit that I do plan on driving it. The upper control arms on this car, they're the fully adjustable ones, and the paint's flaking off of them and whatnot, so I do kind of have a plan to pull them off over the winter time, clean them up, repaint them, and then I can do a much better alignment on it come springtime when I put it all back together. So I'll address the camber caster measurements at that time. My big concern was just getting the toe so it wasn't trying to kill me on the highway or at any speeds, where it would really come into place. So that being said, as you can see, I've pulled the rear alignment plates off and actually have the rear axle on jack stands now, because what I want to start working on is trying to figure out why my speedometer will not go above 40 miles an hour. So what I'm going to do is check the cable and make sure it's plugged in properly in the back, pull the glass face off the dash if I can, and make sure the needle's got full travel, because I'm wondering if just some debris got in there when I was doing a lot of the work in the dash and had the thing flipped around and upside down. Maybe something got into the mechanism. So that is where I'm going to start with that and see where it ends up. All right, so sitting in the car, I took the gauge facing off and also messed around with the cable, wiggled it a little bit. And now, if you see here, I'm putting it in third gear. Before it wouldn't go above 40 on the road. And now it's fourth gear. Either way, it looks like it's working now. It's going above 40. I put it in fifth, and it pretty much tacked out. So I think we're good on the speedometer. All right, so one other thing I want to go over. I took the steering wheel back off because it did get a little marred up when I was taking it off. The center caps in these things are pretty tight with that O-ring that holds them in. And one of the reasons I think they are so is because air cannot escape or come back in. Once you put the emblem in the center of that aluminum center cover cap thing, air is trapped basically in this crevice here, and the way the O-ring is on there to hold it in place, taking it off is almost impossible because you're sucking against the lack of air, and then pushing it back on, it doesn't want to go back in. I noticed that when I was trying to put it back together. I could not get the thing to go back in. So what I did is, if you look in here, I drilled a 1/8 inch hole in the very bottom. So it's at the bottom. You won't be able to notice it when the thing's centered. Right here you can see, but there it is, pretty close to where the actual shaft is. But that will allow me to put the centerpiece on and off very easily now, because the air can escape. I went over it, I polished it up. It's a little bit better than it was. There's still some marring and whatnot in it. I'm going to leave it as is, because I know in the future I'm going to be taking this wheel back off to do some more dash work as far as replacing gauges. I might get that little hub that I forget who makes it, but there's a little piece you can put in there that goes in the oval hole where the steering shaft comes through, and it's polished aluminum. It'll just clean it up and look nicer. So I'm probably going to put that in there at some point in time. So for now, I'm going to leave this as is, just because I know it's going to be coming out. When it's out for the final time, I'll go over it and probably sand everything down again really good, take out all the scratches, repolish it, and that'll pretty much be the final install of the steering wheel. So, but anyway, I just wanted to show you this little trick right here. It will make your life a lot easier taking the center emblem piece, which you can see right there sitting on the transmission tunnel, in and out, because again, that O-ring seal, it makes it airtight, and you're fighting the resistance of air needing to escape when you're trying to put it on, or air needing to fill the space when you're trying to take it off. So you're almost fighting a vacuum. All right, and just to finish up, here it is reinstalled. And like I said, having that little hole in there for the air to go through, the center emblem popped back on without any real effort, pushback, or anything. So I highly recommend that little hole be drilled if any of you are using this setup, which most of you are. It will make your life easier for taking that little center emblem on and off in the future. All right, so the next thing I wanted to try and address was this hole where the steering goes through, and it seems to be allowing a good amount of air into the cabin. I went ahead and had ordered the help part number 42344 grommet that a lot of people recommended. Have it here. I did go ahead and slice it just so I'd be able to try and feed it on, see if I could find a way to make it work. I'm just not really happy with how this thing fits on here. I've tried it both ways. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be a good seal no matter what I do. I don't think this is going to be the way to go. I may have to try and find something else, whether it be pulling this cover off here and maybe try and get some insulation on the inside of it that's not quite touching, or look into some sort of like shaft bushing that actually mounts to the aluminum here. I'm not sure what to do to try and re-engineer it. I mean, this just, it looks like I could put it right about there and it would deflect, because I've got the one of the cables right here that's in the way as well. So pretty limited on what I can do with this. I don't think it's really going to be the way to go. So back to the drawing board as far as trying to seal this big hole up goes. But still working on it, at least, making an attempt. And, I've got this in case I think of another way to make it work. I did look under the dash as well, and I just don't find any way where I can really make that work, where it's going to actually do a good job deflecting heat out of the cabin. All right, next thing on the list that I just wrapped up. Not sure if you remember from my previous videos, but the blue cabling there, and then the larger cabling, that previously went up and over the top of the steering rack. Wasn't really happy with how that looked. So I went ahead, disconnected the tie rod end here, loosened up these clamps and whatnot, and was able to pull it to get it to go underneath the tie rod end, and then reattached everything. I redid the one ground wire. I had to drill a hole and put a new mount for that, as you can see there. And then I was able to reuse the existing cushion clamps, get everything tied back into place, and then I just put one tie wrap on the frame down there. You can faintly see it holding the blue wire to the X brace, just to keep things from moving around. But it's below the bellows, as you can see. Let me come up and over, just see the routing a little bit better. But yeah, it goes below the bellows. It's not in the way. It's not going to get damaged or whatnot. But just happier with how that looks up versus going up and over the tie rod or the steering rack. So that is now done. That is one more thing off of the list. All right, well, as you can see, it is back on the ground. Wheels are on, everything's tightened up as far as torquing the lugs, and I got the center caps back in. Kind of like the little trick I gave as far as the steering wheel hub goes. The center caps, they're the same way. They've got O-rings that hold them into place, and it's pretty well airtight once the wheels torque down, so they can give you a little bit of a difficulty getting them to go on because you're basically fighting air pressure. What I tend to do is I use the hubba towels, these things right here, cleaning wipes. And what I'll do is I'll grab one, I will wipe my hands off, and then once I'm done wiping my hands off, I will use that and wipe around the O-rings on the center caps, and it makes it a lot easier to get these things to go back in. And just a little twist and push, and they'll pop right into place, and they'll stay there, and no issues, and they come out fairly easy. once it's time to take them off. I had one that, like, before I knew that little trick, I couldn't get the thing in. I mean, I would push on it and it would just pop back out. Push it in and it would just pop back out. It was ridiculous. So anyway, that's the little trick there as far as the center caps go. That being said, I am going to call it a video. I spent a lot more time working on, getting that steering arm moved and getting the wiring run under it than I thought it would take. I was really hoping to get to doing the clutch pedal relocation today, but I'm just out of time and I've got a car show I want to go to tonight and some other stuff to do the rest of this afternoon. So I am going to call it a video. Next one, I don't know if it'll be on this or the MR2, because I do have to get that outside, wash the engine, start cleaning the interior, because I do have a few people interested in the engine, so I want to get that cleaned up and start getting that thing pulled. So I'm gonna work on getting these things moved around, but I do definitely want to get the clutch cable or the clutch pedal done on this car, a few other things. I did mess around a little bit with some of the polishes I have, and it does look like some of this chrome will polish out. I was really afraid because it is so pitted that I wouldn't be able to save like the windshield surround and whatnot, but it looks like I might be able to. A few other things like the mirror, I might just replace that because they're not that expensive, and the rubber grommets on it are kind of cracked anyway, so we'll see. Anyway, more to come on this. If you're learning something, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please like, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell. As always, there is going to be a lot more to come on this car and the others in my garage. Thank you for watching and have a great day.